you're going to see players be more willing to practice something crazy, to be able to kind of trick the enemy team and not really have an idea of like, how do I actually play a fight versus this? Because he lived a long time in all of those fights. And you were right. They're pumping in a lot of damage, seeing if they can do something. That being said, you're right. I'm sad. We'll never see it for the rest of this series because now it's fearless. It's gone.
It's fearless. It's gone. But you know what? Immediately after that, I looked at Twitch chat after that game, and somebody put, that's the TikTok Jace build. I thought that was hilarious.
That's good.
I went to check online. Is it a trending build? I didn't find much about it, but I saw It's Stewart, a Wild Rift content creator, talk about how it's becoming popular in China in Wild Rift. So maybe Flandre's been playing a bit of Wild Rift lately, playing a lot of Tank Chase instead. But
to be fair,
we are in.
Oh, you go.
Go ahead. No,
I was about to say, okay, to be fair, like I've heard like something like a few months ago about Tank Chase, but I did not care about it. I didn't do any research into it. I just didn't think it was a real thing. But I mean, Flandre, his old self is kicking in. That creative mind, if he sees something and believes in it, he's willing to throw it out there. And now I'm seeing a Smolder. And sure, you would expect Smolder to be bot lane. Flandre also played at top, so it could easily be a flex Smolder that could go top lane.
I hope he does go top lane. But like you mentioned, coming into this picks and ban, it is fearless. So at the bottom of your screen, all of those are champions that were picked from game 1 and 2. Neither team can use those champions going into game number 3. So we have some different bans. Skarner and Rumble both been permanently banned so far. Kalista, Nautilus, Sejuani, and Ambessa have been taken off the table as well. First pick from the side of Weibo was Caitlyn, followed by Lux and Ornn. Whereas for the side of anyone's legend, we have Orianna and Nocturne, as well as that Smolder being picked up. Like you said, that technically could be a flex pick for anyone's legend, with Flandre being able to play at top lane.
Maybe you want to send that Smolder bot lane, because this is where the real trouble comes in. As an AD carry, you can't play Ashe, Ezreal, Corki, Varus, Kalista was banned on first base. Jhin is being banned because for whatever reason now anyone's legend is going 4-5. You know, the expectation is that the Smolder is not going to go bot lane, but if we're now throwing more 80 carry bans out there, maybe you should just have Smolder go bot lane. But with the pressure that Caitlyn and Lux tends to have, that's going to be a hard lane. So I'm interested to see where they go from here. If they want to go Xayah or Khan, that's an option. But once again, like, that's a tough lane. MF, I forgot about her. There it is. MF is a really strong laner. So even though you get outranged a little bit, I think you at least, once you get BT early, can kind of control push mid lane. So I do like MF here, and that does solidify Smolder as a top lane there. Oh, I should not be talking about. What am I doing talking about hovers? My bad. That's my bad. I take ownership on that one.
Raz, it's been 5 years. Have you not learnt about the hover shenanigans yet? You know, come on.
Yeah.
People used to hover. People hovered Teemo in a 1v1, and I definitely didn't get really excited about talking about Teemo the entire time and had to bite my tongue so that we don't do it. That's right, you know.
I gotta learn. It's the same lesson we must learn. It's on me. So, oh God.
Didn't you also say that this would have been Shanks' champion to play into Xiaohu's Ari? It looks like he is trying to take that away from him and say that he could play it too, because that's been locked in for Weibo Gaming instead.
Ooh. So I will say, just quickly putting out there, that is Tian's Viego now, so at least we'll get to see that. It was denied from us in the last game. But yes, now with MF getting picked, now I can be excited. That is going to be, I'm assuming, the Smolder going top lane. He's going into the Ornn, so if they do get standard lanes, that's going to be great for him. The big fear is that if you just get lane swap against the Smolder, it should be tougher. But at least they've shown before, if they have a weak ranged carry, and if you do get swapped on, that they're willing to send the support and lane with Smolder and have MF basically play solo. So like, they can be a little bit more creative in a swap situation to make it so Smolder is not under threat of a dive.
Talk to me a little bit more about Smolder. Why do we see Flandre trying to play him towards whichever lane he ends up in, but top side of the map?
Well, it's primarily played versus melee tank top lanes. Like if it's a Cassante, in this case it's an Ornn. It's just free stacks. Basically, if you ever see a Smolder, a lot of the times, in this case, he's going to be stacking Qs for free against this against the tank top. So he, of course, ideally wants to be in a solo lane matchup so he doesn't get swapped. But there have been iterations where you know, a swap happens, he lanes mid, he's still able to get basically stacks for free in the early game. And then as it turns into mid game and he's able to play on sides, he has a good matchup. So, and it gives them an option to basically have some level of late game scaling and burn on the front line. So I love Smolder if you can get to that point, but a lot of the times it's just difficult to get there. So it's a good challenge here for anyone's legend.
One of the things I like about the Smolder pickup here, which I actually thought was going to go to Hope, and I had this thing I wanted to talk to you about Hope playing these late game scaling champions first Corki, then what was going to be Smolder, is that in the first game against Weibo, we saw that anyone's legend had, you know, Hope and Kael had decent games. Hope was making some really flashy plays as well, but they had no consistent damage to deal with the tanky Cassante, with people diving into the back lines, and it feels like this Smolder pick helped mitigate a lot of that trouble. You know, playing Ornn in this match, it's very different from Cassante. It's not going to be as high damage, but he can still whittle down the back line. And if Hope is preoccupied, especially since it's playing Misfortune, lots of burst damage, the consistent damage isn't, you know, not as good as an Ashe or a Caitlyn or anyone that wants to do damage over time. And it feels like Smolder solves that problem for them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's some debating happening in the chat about which draft is better. I think that's going to be a question on everyone's mind. My concern right now for anyone's legend is you don't have a frontliner and you have snap engages. We've seen Nocturne Orianna at like multiple events, Worlds primarily, where basically it's just if you look for a quick pick, it could be on Hung's Lux, it could be on Caitlyn. It's so hard for them to deal with it if you just get a Nocturne ulti with an Orianna combined with that. But if they have to actually engage in a fight, a front to back fight, they lose hard. The Ornn and somewhat the Viego, but the Ornn primarily will be able to do a lot in a front to back. But this is a heavy skirmishes bot lane now.
Yeah, because Weibo is about to hit level 2 with that minion going down. Oh, sorry, I got that completely wrong. Apparently it's one more minion before they hit level 2 here, but they looked like they wanted to go aggressive, and anyone's legend said we have to get, if there's any damage you want to get down, now's the time for us to do so. Level 2 is hit by Weibo first, so they're able to push out anyone's legend here. Now, with the Lux Snare online, with what you can assume is going to be a trap from Caitlyn as well, it's quite a painful lane to be in if you're Hope and Kael.
Yeah, that's why I like Hong playing in the bush there and just threatening. He threw it out just to see if he can catch Kael. Kael is going to be the main target. Speaking of main target, Shanks has to be careful here. The wave is in a tricky spot. He seems to be a target here for the gank, but he walks away very smartly, walks towards Tarzan. They might take this fight though.
He's going to stick around. Nocturne did have the blast cone to get closer to the fight if he needed to. There's a very nice use of the wards coming out from Shanks, you know, positioning towards the side. Actually, no. Am I wrong? Did I completely see the wrong ward there? I thought that was Shanks' ward, unless one just died and was replaced by the side of Weibo. I thought he had a ward on the right side and he was playing towards that.
I'm a goldfish, so my memory is also quite poor. So
I'm actually a fish.
Yep, you're a goldfish. I'm a goldfish. We're both on the same page here.
Small skirmish in the middle lane. Shanks does take a bit of damage there, but immediately teleports back into the lane after heading back to pick up another item. But so far, very, very quiet affair. I do like that we saw Hope as well as Kael be a bit aggressive at level 1. We saw that from them in the first game of this best of 5 series as well, where it looked like Weibo had the more dominant lane and they were ahead in experience and could be more aggressive, but Hope and Kael weren't afraid to step up and try and fight a little bit earlier too. Barrier and heal being picked up by both of those bottom laners, so there's no exhaust, no ignite that can really try and pick up a skirmish there. But so far, very, very quiet game, Raz. Is it the same as what we were seeing in game 1, where really we're going to see big fights start to take place around, say, grubs when they do spawn?
I think so. It just shouldn't be anyone's legend that's willing to take that fight, because they're losing push bot lane. Speaking of that, Flandre is getting heavily traded on here, and his wave is pushing in too, so he just has to be a little concerned there. But like, you're getting pushed in through bot side at the moment. There's a really strong combo of LeBlanc and Viego really early on, and you know, Tarzan's not going to be having level 6 before grubs, so I think it's just, if you can give it up and try and trade for bot side, maybe Drake, you'd be in a really good position to do so. Also, that being said, I've been talking about anyone's legends composition and what they want to be able to do to get the win. For Weibo, you should try and play on sides a little bit and pull Shanks to a side lane with LeBlanc and Viego. I think that's a really good combo, and that should be the intended purpose. So not only do you have a great side lane pressure, team fights should be in your care as well with Breathe if he does end up getting the opportunity to roam to play front to back. Light's getting chipped at, so right now the lane's not working as well as they would hope for. But that's kind of the way you would view Weibo's gameplay.
Right. And you'd expect Light and Hung to be pushed out a little bit more here. Maybe just taking a little bit too much damage from that skirmish when they were pushing up towards the outer turrets. Light's going to use this opportunity to go back to base, so we'll lose about a bit more than half a wave of CS to get back out of there. And Hope and Kael will use this time to push in, get some more CS from themselves. Maybe even get some chip damage in that turret from the minions that are left here, and then head back to base themselves. So surviving the threats of this Caitlyn Lux lane to start. And it looks like Weibo are using that to signify that they want to switch out those lanes. So is this... I mean, you were talking about pushing Shanks to a different lane, but is this how you do it, where you get Light and Hung in the mid lane and say Xiaohu, now you've got to go bottom side and defend that instead?
Yeah, more or less. I do think that I mean, he's not going to die here. He's not going to die here. But he is now easy to dive 1v1 solo, so he needs to leave. He does have TP, so he can TP back to the tower if he wants to. But they're going to contest this one, so it seems like it's going to be an all-out fight here for Grubs.
Well, Tian's already got one, and he can use the pressure that Ornn has top side because Flandre wasn't actually able to go back to base, so no top laners involved in this fight for now. Second grub looks like it's going to be picked up by them too, and Tarzan should be able to secure this third. So Tian gets one, AL, they're going to be able to pick up two. The rest of the team is going to group up to see if they can go for a skirmish here, but there's nothing left to really fight for, so this should just be a disengage. Just a small trade of objectives, still very even between the two teams.
Yeah, that was pretty tough, and I think if you're Weibo's side, you're going to be pretty sad that, I mean, Breathe used his ulti top lane to see if he can get the kill on Flandre. I don't think he was ever going to get that kill, but he was so focused on the 1v1 that he was not going to be a part of that fight either. He had been really low, used his main form of engage to try and put Flandre behind. He's another skirmish topside, though.
Xiaohu getting caught out. He's already used his dash, so that's on cooldown for a while. Forced to flash back towards the Baron pit. I think Tian might have... Oh no! Tian flashes into a wall! Oh, you hate to see it, but he's done a silver elo mistake here. Flashing straight into that wall. Giving a free pick over to the side of anyone's legend. Kael pays for it as well. They go down, but some things never change, Raz.
You hate to see it caught on the footage on CCTV. We had the recording of Tian just getting completely pulled, like, taken down. Yeah, that was a little embarrassing. And you don't want that being played at your funeral, but it is, sadly. And, God, I think they just made way too many mistakes. If Breathe held on to his ulti, they knew they were going to play around Grubs. They lost two Grubs, I think, because of that. And then Tian getting caught out again, by the way.
Top side, Tarzan gonna jump in. He's gonna get caught out here, and I think this is the moment where Weibo's coach thinks, why did we kick him? We should have kept Tarzan all along.
That's 2 times in a row that Tian has now ate it. So it looked good for Weibo at the very start. Flandre was very low under turret, and you feel like they could have played for Grubs and won that fight. They didn't. They made that mistake. And then Tian had the fail flash moment. Then he came back into the map, and then he dies again. This has just been bad play after bad play for Weibo, and anyone's legend has been taking the chance on it. They've been coming out ahead.
This was already so aggressive from Xiaohu, and I didn't quite understand what he was trying to achieve here. First, being forced to flash over that pit, and this is, unfortunately, just a mistake from Tian. I feel like he could have walked back towards the wall, towards the side where Misfortune's ultimate was, and take a bit more damage and flash later to avoid that Neeko CC. But hey, I mean, these things happen. I think what made it even worse, though, was as soon as he started walking towards that top lane, the vision that AL has put down allowed them to catch him out with that Nocturne ult, putting him even further behind.
Yeah. I think all the expectations, Fish, that we had laid out coming into this game are just getting dashed piece after piece. Like, we talked about Light and Hung having pushed bot lane and being as oppressive as they can. They had that pretty poor 2v2 that pushed them off of bot lane wave. They lost minions off that. Then it was the Grubs fight. Then it was all the things that we had laid out afterwards. So, thankfully for Weibo, it's not too much gold. It's just 300. And they can still kind of dust their shoes off and recognize that they're still really strong in the early to mid game. And a lot of it still is going to be off Xiaohu when he plays on sides. They now throw him onto the side lane. They have Kate and Lux on mid. So the lane assignments, I think, are quite good, and we can start to build off of that.
When do you feel like it starts to become a game of if Weibo can get a pick, though? Is that something we only look towards, say, 20, 30 minutes, where, you know, they have to try and use Caitlyn, Lux, and LeBlanc to get a pick before they can look for fights? Or does,
I got bad news for you.
Can AL scale faster? Oh,
I got bad news for you. Seems like Xiaohu is now the target.
Oh no, he is going to get locked out top side of the map. LeBlanc trying to be a bit tricky, and oh no, you know what? I'll just take a cannon minion for my trouble. 75 gold. I don't think there's a world where he ever gets out of this, right? Oh, he tries.
I mean, where is he going?
Can he get away? No.
And goodbye. Yeah, I mean, Hope was kind of playing as an agent there. He was sitting in the middle bush, waiting for Xiaohu to completely commit to the wave, and then you had both Kael and Tarzan there, willing to jump onto him. But Shanks is in danger.
I feel like everybody walking from mid lane towards grubs always gets caught out here on the red side of the map, but there is no Xiaohu to fight. But Shanks being caught out this way means that it's practically even with both mid laners locked out of the fight. No mana available for that Orianna either. So I believe that was a 2-for-1 trade in grubs. Weibo able to defend that one nicely despite the fact that Xiaohu was caught off guard earlier.
Yeah, but Tian, I mean, overall, anyone's Legends is the biggest beneficiary, getting 4 grubs. So they're going to be in a pretty good spot. They also have double AD carry, so being able to siege is honestly great for them, especially if, you know, Flandre starts. Okay, there we go. If Flandre starts, I tricked myself into thinking that was a real champion. My bad. But if Flandre starts to really get scaling and is going to be on sides alongside like Shanks and Hope, then it's going to be pretty tough for Weibo, the team that wants to group up a little bit more frequently. So I'm interested in seeing if that's going to turn into anything big. But so far, it's relatively even, with anyone's Legend getting the lead.
Trying to catch out Shanks here, though. Xiaohu going for the wall. That's a lot of burst damage that comes out from the LeBlanc. Tian picks up that kill. Weibo Gaming now looking to try and lock down these mid lane turrets, and I think they have a nice comp for this. Getting picks. Weibo Gaming have a lot of utility they can work with to facilitate those picks. But the later this game goes, like you said, double AD carry, scaling, Smolder, I struggle to see how Weibo get ahead in these late games fights if it starts to get towards that territory, and AL are already ahead.
Yeah, that's true. But we already saw a pretty hectic game in Game 2, so at this point, I'm a believer. Anything is possible, and I think that was a really good call to be able to find a dive onto Shanks. It kind of reminded me of, like, Xiaohu when he was on RNG in 2018. Remember those times where it would be like Xiaohu and Karsa finding a dive mid lane after like a really strong trade? He's always been really good at communicating at when the timings were there. So nice little damage from Hong, and we get to see it again. Hey, all we need is another one of those onsides. You can already see LeBlanc moving top lane. Now he's going to finally get that matchup that he's been craving for, going up against Orianna, and Viego should be pathing there. So we're getting all the things that we want. This could be the point at which Weibo Gaming can take control of the game.
13 minutes into the match. Let's see. You mentioned that this could be the point where Weibo Gaming can take control, but it's nothing too much for them to take on the map. I mean, grubs need another just under a minute or so before they're going to respawn. There's still lots of time before the next few objectives come out. Do you think that is that point? Weibo have to set up for something like that before they take control? Or is there something that I'm missing?
I think they need to clear out the vision. Orianna is extremely protected topside, and you can already see it. Right now, the biggest difficulty is MF with Bloodthirster is hard to move out of mid lane. So she always gets pushed, and now they can always just basically secure the vision that they've... I mean, in the previous play, before they based, they had secured vision topside, which made Orianna really safe. And then now they can continue to do that because they have pushed through mid. So that's the problem Weibo has. And the only way they can really get this game moving, outside of like the team fights around Dragon and Herald, is by clearing out the wards that are littering the topside river. They're going for this, though. They want this fight.
AL have some good vision around this, but no Smolder there. There is teleport available for Flandre if he wants to get up here, but needs to pull the trigger soon. That Herald's going to go down pretty quickly. Tarzan has the Orianna ultimate, looking to see if he can jump in. Very close to try and go for a smite fight, but it will be Viego that picks it up. Tarzan ultimate goes out. Good MF ultimate, locks down 2 players inside of it. Ornn, the first casualty to go down. Shockwave doesn't connect from Shanks, but AL are still driving through the rest of Weibo Gaming. A double kill into the triple kill from Hope. He's having a fantastic series. Despite Rift Herald going over to the side of Weibo Gaming, it's AL that come out on top in these team fights.
What a sick engage from Kael, and is he able to get out of there? Yes, he is. So Xiaohu gets out for free on that one, but that was a huge team fight win from AL, and a lot of that was on a peak engage from Kael. I said it at the start of the game, it was going to be hard to really play against the front line of Weibo, but they played around the engage of Breathe very well. His Ornn ulti kind of whiffed. Thankfully, it was because of the shield that Tarzan had that he's able to shield the Ornn ulti. He tried to smack him up against the wall. That didn't happen. Kael goes for the engage on top of the MF ulti, and they're able to chase the rest of Weibo down off of that.
I think this is what we've been talking about too, where you get into these big team fights. You have the Neeko ultimate with the Misfortune ultimate to work with. Shanks has the follow-up from the Shockwave to use too. It just...
Yeah.
I don't see how Weibo get out of these team fights alive unless they have a crucial pick to start it.
It's tough. At first, I thought it was going to be a tough fight for AL only because Ornn was ready. He was in position. I thought it would have been fine for him to be able to get a kill on either Shanks or Tarzan, something, because Shanks came into that fight without flash, by the way. That's why he had to reposition. So it looked like they had a clear target, but I mean, it felt like anyone's legend was able to play around the Ornn really well. And that Neeko ulted, that they just did not expect the angle on that at all. So far so good for anyone's legend. And MF is, once again, Hope is the biggest beneficiary of that. He has 5 kills. He is the strongest member on the map right now.
This is what I love so much about Fearless as well. It feels like every single game in this series comes down to a bigger and better draft with whatever's left in that champion pool, and I like what AL's been trying to cook up here with the double AD carry Smolder top. You called it during Champion Select, you were almost baited out at the beginning, but that didn't quite happen. They're trying to force something here in mid lane now. That's a teleport from Shanks, bringing them towards the center of the map. But I don't quite see what they're going to try and fight for besides trying to get more vision control.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised he didn't get tier Flandre, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. He just rushed straight through Spear Shojin. And I'm assuming he's going to go... Either he's going to go Black Cleaver or Trinity Force. I'm expecting Black Cleaver. Right now, it just seems like his entire sole intent in this game is to get as healthy as possible, so he has a lot of HP based through the items, and to just be a tank buster and breathe. He's going to be the target, though, so sadly he's going to have to get out of this.
Xiaohu's going to try and chase him down. Ornn ultimate will lock him, so I think this is going to be a nice pick coming out from Weibo Gaming. You can even see how much damage Flandre is able to turn around in such a short amount of time with the Xiaohu, though, so that's a bit dangerous. But this is what the comp Weibo Gaming have picked up can do, get these picks all across the map, and they need to keep doing that in order to find areas to get opportunities going for themselves. Nothing happening here in the mid lane. An ultimate will come out from Nocturne and Misfortune, chipping away at both Hung as well as Xiaohu. I can't do names anymore. Hung as well as Tian. Goodness sake, my brain is going everywhere. My brain is going everywhere except for what's happening on my screen. I'm getting too old for this, Raz. Doesn't work anymore.
You didn't want to say what your age was, but you're nearing 50.
That's right, nearing 50 on the other side of it. Breathe are now trying to chase down here to keep this turret alive for Weibo, and even after the pick on the bottom side of the map with the numbers, it doesn't seem like they can do too much. This mid lane turret's going to go down. Tarzan, though, he gets picked off. LeBlanc's going to get that kill. Breathe trying to jump back into this one. Hope going aggressive, almost gets light, just needed one more tap. That would have been enough. Ace in the hole is enough for the side of Weibo Gaming, and they're able to turn this one back around after losing that mid lane turret.
Yeah, for the past 4 minutes, it feels like AL is getting a little bit, too greedy at the moment. If Flandre was the first one to get picked, and that was because Xiaohu was able to find that angle with TP. But if Flandre had died and put himself in that position maybe 20 seconds later, then AL would have been able to find something on the other side of the map. But Nocturne was back at base. Now when Smolder is going back to the bot lane, they try after getting the turret mid to go a little bit for something more, they're just disrespecting the damage that Weibo has at this point of the game. So, I mean, great from Xiaohu and Tian to be able to find a pick and to turn that into something more. But Anyone's Legend is the one that has the lead this game, and they're the ones that's now fumbling that gold. Now the gold lead has gone over to Weibo.
Yeah, it felt like they threw away a lot there with no Misfortune ultimate available, not the right amount of people there, no Flandre. Xiaohu able to get back into the fight. That felt like the right circumstance for Weibo to take a fight against AL as well. Multiple opportunities within one engagement to turn it into different types of skirmishes, from the early pick from Xiaohu, separating Hope, jumping onto Shanks through the mid lane. Now that everybody's grouped back up, ultimates are back online, it feels like AL are back in a position where they can team fight, and gold is dead even, so it still should be in AL's favor. And they're trying to fight around this dragon objective.
I mean, the entire setup is there for Weibo. I think they should be pretty confident here. It's going to be tough for Anyone's Legend to walk into their vision, especially if Ornn is staring straight at you. Tarzan's turning the lights off, though.
Nocturne ultimate through the Scuttle Crab vision, getting some damage onto Lux, but Hung already popping that ultimate early in the fight. Nothing much of a follow-up from Anyone's Legend, but they do get closer towards that the Dragon Pit. Shanks taking a lot of damage from Xiaohu in the backline. Tarzan is out of the fight as well. Hope gets a kill onto Light with the ultimate. Fantastically placed by Misfortune, going aggressive towards Xiaohu. Flandre's in the backlines, chipping away at everybody from the side of Weibo Gaming. That's going to be 2 that fall. Nobody from AL has been taken down, and they get the objective as well.
Ooh, honestly, I think Tian was able to steal that one. So Tian, honestly, that's the only dub that they got on that one. So Tian was able to steal the objective, but they're all dead. That just means that Anyone's Legend is right now focused on the Baron buff.
Oh, this is gone. It's going to come down to a Lux steal to try and save the day here, but they used the ultimate, they got closer to Dragon, disengaged, reinitiated, and it just felt like AL's team fight to take.
Yeah, it really did. I think what we were trying to see there from the Nocturne was like the Ori ulti combo on top of him to maybe get the insta-kill on Hong, but it didn't really matter at that point. I think they were already that far ahead, and it was a great setup of Hope's MF ulti. So they got everything off there. In fact, it would have just been, clearly it would have been better if they were able to get the take on the objective itself, but they cleared up the fight. They end up walking towards Baron. They got that as well. So even though Anyone's Legend has made some missteps this game, they are back in the driver's seat.
And they didn't lose anyone during that fight too. It was, like you said, beautiful setup from both Hope and Kael to get the combo out on the Dragon Pit. Was stolen away by Tian, but this composition for Anyone's Legend is coming together so nicely. And again, it feels like Weibo they're trying to take these objectives in big 5-on-5 team fights, but their composition doesn't quite support that. Xiaohu was trying so hard to get a pick onto Shanks in the back line at the start of that fight, but really good vision control and denial from Anyone's Legend meant that it was hard for him to get good opportunities to find those picks. He also missed one of his change, which could have been the lights out. Could have been lights out for Shanks in the fight. It just doesn't feel like the Weibo Gaming that we saw in game number 1. It feels very, very different.
It is very different. It is tough as well, especially since that wasn't the optimal fight from Anyone's Legend. They didn't get the Nocturne Ori ulti combo off too. So like the fact that they didn't get that off and they were still strong enough to be able to clean up that fight the way that it played out, that's scary. All the while, Flandre is stacking on the side. So they're only going to get stronger. Breathe's effectiveness is only going to... I mean, he just hopped over the wall. What's going on here, guys?
Yeah, Breeze's effectiveness is the face tank at the moment, as he loses half his health and his ultimate. Hung and Tian take a little bit of damage in return. Weibo Gaming. Yeah, look, those are not the kind of mistakes you can be making here.
I was confused. I was just trying to say his life is going to be hard in these fights. But he just made it harder for himself.
He still thinks he's playing Cassante at this point, Raz. I don't think he realizes that champion's gone. He can't just walk up like that and not expect to take half his health and damage. But I like what AL is doing. They've got the Baron buff. They're slowly pushing through 2 lanes. Very standard use of Baron buff for the last 10 years of League of Legends. Just push out 2 lanes, take 2 objectives, and reset the map, get good vision control, and look for that next opportunity. They're going to try and push towards the top side of the map with what they have left. the rest of Weibo Gaming just really forced to defend and see if they can find a pick or two before that next fight. But it's a 6,000 gold lead for anyone's legend, with all of that really sitting on both of their 80 carries.
Yeah, and it feels like Weibo just wants to find an angle to get a pick, but they're getting poked out even here. Xiaohu wants to find that angle. Look at the journey he's on right now. Oh,
He's gonna see if he can get a flank, but he can't. Nocturne ultimate to turn out the lights right away. He'll take some damage. Jumped on by Nocturne. Double dashes away, gets to a blast cone, and now he's gonna make sure they play that Benny Hill theme and chase him around the rest of his jungle.
Yeah. Trying to round that scoundrel up, but they do have Dragon that's coming up in 50 seconds, so they're saying we're not gonna get baited into this chase. We're gonna base. We've already taken top turret, and now we're gonna look towards Dragon and get our second Dragon in the game right now. But just think of it, if AL takes this win with the position that they are in right now, they have a 7k gold lead, they can put themselves into match point. How gratifying is that for Tarzan to be like, yeah, you really needed me, don't you?
I think that's a moment. That's
he
a
bailed
moment
them
where
out. Yeah, you know what? Look, we're bad at this. It's been a long time, but that's my bad. But like, he's the one that bailed him out in Summer Split when he joined the team alongside Breathe. And then now that he's gone, he's helping out anyone's legend, and I think Weibo Gaming is kind of recognizing what it's like without him.
Yeah, that's where if he does pick up the win on anyone's legend, if it goes 3-1 by the end of this series, that's where you know that everybody on Weibo Gaming is getting a very firm handshake from him at the end. He's gonna, make sure he says, good game, guys, good game, good game. And give a few fist pumps backstage, be like, yeah, that's what happens, boys.
Yeah, mates.
But it's been such a roller coaster for him. The first game was a disaster, if anything. Tian was playing fantastically in that match, and game number 2 he started to pull out all the stops on his Xinjiao. Now on this Nocturne playing really well, but the consistent thing for AL this entire series has really been Hope. He's 7-1-2 now. Him and Flandre have been a fantastic duo this entire series, from the tank Jace with Corky, now with Smolder and Misfortune being the damage dealers, the carries, and the ones holding all the gold. They're having a great series so far and performing quite well.
Very true. I mean, Shanks playing safe here so he doesn't turn into a target. And that one Hope defender in the chat feels also, basically, gratified. He's the one that's saying, look, I'm right. He's 7-1-2 in this game too. He's just going to keep saying that Hope is the best AD carry in the LPL until he has a bad game, then he's nowhere to be seen. But it feels like Hope has had a really good tournament thus far. And a lot of that has just been, I think, the setup that AL has had in team fights has really helped him out. And I think Kael, as a support, has really found moments, especially in this game, to be able to find fights that's so advantageous for Hope. That free ultimate that he had in that Drake fight, the ultimate that he had in the topside fight as well, off that 2-man Neeko ultimate, it's again and again, it's showing that this team is doing a lot to set Hope up for success.
Now the rest of the team can look to see if they can set up for Baron as well. Already Hope, Tarzan, and Flandre are working on that objective. Kael and Shanks are making their way down. Weibo Gaming maybe not spot this one now. Tarzan has taken quite a bit of damage from this, and he might try to back out. Baron resets. Tarzan's going to walk over towards the honey fruit and get himself healed back up. I like this, respecting the fact that they've lost some hit points in their jungler, to go back and say, you know what, this is not the right time for us to take this objective.
Yeah, that does mean that they lose a bit of control through mid. So AL has to be able to come in, and yes, they are defending that mid lane turret, but that means that Weibo can now start picking up the vision around the top side of the jungle. So far so good. I don't think they're confident and pulling a Baron run. So right now it's basically just trying to get to your item breakpoints, or Rabadon's death cap is what Xiaohu is searching for. If he's able to get that off this base, he's going to be in a really comfortable position for the next Drake fight in 2 minutes. So I'm just looking forward to seeing if he's able to get it off this person. Okay, he lied about that base. He was just joking.
Well, they're keeping everyone chipped out here. Hung gets a nice ultimate on with Lux onto both Hope as well as Shanks. So anyone's legend constantly taking some chip damage from Weibo Gaming. few more of those, and suddenly you can look for an advantageous team fight. But here comes the initiation. Kael jumping at Flandre, immediately taking down Light. That's the AD carry from Weibo Gaming gone. The rest of the team now has to run away with their tail between their legs. Another one by Seduss. Xiaohu's trying to run away. Flandre is on the chase. Blasco going to get LeBlanc over the line. But that's a fantastic team fight being picked up by anyone's legend. 2 kills going on over to Hope, and this might be it. They're going to try and look to take all of the objectives on the map now.
Yeah, they're in a great position. 33-second death timer on Breathe. Light's just dead for 20 seconds. I wonder how confident they are in terms of ending this game. But that was a beautiful engage from Kael to be able to combo that on top of Flandre's ulti. I think they're going to go for it to see if they can end it here.
They might try. A lot of the minions just got knocked out, so only one turret, it seems, is what they can push for here. And that should be the reset. So taking the inhibitor turret.
TP coming from a flank, double TP.
Double TP, both Breathe as well as Xiaohu looking for that flank. On ultimate, misses the first charge, knocks down 2 with the second. Tarzan blocks off some damage from LeBlanc with the spell shield as Hope is trying to get out of there alive. Now Nocturne ultimate back on towards Xiaohu, double dashes away from the fear so he doesn't get locked down. AL trying to fight their way out of this one. Hope throwing down the ultimate, doesn't get enough damage, but Flandre's in this fight as well. He picks up one. Breathe will take down the support. Flandre goes down next, and suddenly Weibo Gaming, they've turned this one around with the big flank. Tian looking to take some damage from Shanks, jumps back down. Hope gets that kill for himself. What is this absolute disaster that is witnessing right now, Raz? What's going on?
It's a back and forth. The double TP play to turn it on AL was working pretty well for a while, but Tian yeeted himself, and now Tarzan is alive. They might still be able to play for Dragon. Remember, both teams have 2 dragons for themselves, so that can be soul point for either team. That was looking amazing for Weibo, but that one hiccup for Tian might cost them big.
This was the first fight. We had a big shockwave onto Caitlyn, which just meant that's it. You're done. With all the damage you've taken, no matter how much healing Lux can give, it's just the wombo that will come out from AL to take him down. And it was their team fight. But what happened, Raz?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit all over the place, but Tarzan going straight on towards Breathe. And then meanwhile, while this was happening, Hope was chasing Tian all over the map. Wait, did he actually... I actually did not see this at all because we were focusing on Smolder going to bot side. But yes, Hope does chase him down and kill him while Smolder, Flandre, was trying to do the same towards Xiaohu. But that was all happening because of the perfect engage that Kael had. Yes, it started with Shanks' ulti, but I mean, to be able to take an opportunity on that one. That being said, they're looking for another pick here.
Another jump onto Xiaohu. Tarzan gets the fear this time. Double dash is used late by Xiaohu, so control to make sure they can get away from Tarzan. Ultimate is used, but does force LeBlanc back to base, and there's no teleport for LeBlanc, so AO have some time to set up for their next objective. They take the blue buff, set down some wards in the top side of the jungle, and they continue to look for their next opportunity.
AL is still in a really comfortable position with super minions going down mid, so they can choose either or, and they're going straight towards Baron, so that's going to be sole point for Weibo, while AL gets Baron here.
Yeah, Baron's picked up double AD carry with that jungler, makes short work of it, but like you mentioned, a dragon does go over to the side of Weibo Gaming, so AL taking a bit of a risk here. That's going to give them a nice big power play for the next couple of minutes where they can try and knock down the last few inhibitors and inhibitors turrets. But if the game continues to go on to say the 40-50 minute mark, suddenly Weibo can look to prioritize that soul. And let's see what happens going in with this next Baron push.
I agree with you. I think ordinarily, you know, people would say a more optimal play is to go for soul point here because you're putting yourself in a position where you feel like you have to end off this Baron because now soul point and it's mountain soul too. Going over Weibo, that's going to be incredible for the Ornn. So as long as Weibo can hold this, you know, for 3 more minutes, if they can stop the Baron from happening, that looks like a really good game state here for Weibo.
Yeah, decent wave clear as well. The Lux support, no laughing matter with Caitlyn. They're going to be able to clear out these waves nicely. They really have to utilize the super minions, try and utilize this Baron buff to its full potential, and even find a pick if possible. But you can already see this top lane inhibitor turret only taking about half of its health and damage so far. Oh, that's nice. Hung does take a lot. It looks like a reinitiation from Breathe. He dives forward and he's going to get
Wow.
locked out there. I'm not sure you needed to commit that hard, but that's the opportunity they're looking for. Jumps in from Neeko. Hope's going to get the kill onto Light. I think that's it, Raz. The gamble pays off for anyone's legend. They get the Baron buff. They walk it into the top lane. They find the pick they were looking for, and I don't think there's anything Weibo can do at this point. Game number 2 is going to go to anyone's legend, and now the series is 2-1 in their favor.
There it is. I had a little bit of doubt. Some people in the chat didn't. So they're like, I think they're going to end it here, and they were right. What an incredible fight and pick on towards the Ornn. It was pretty tough for them to be able to recover the moment they lost that pick. I wanted to point out one thing, like a pretty interesting build point for Flandre too. That brother decided to go for an Edge of Night because he was like, look, as long as I can stop 1 point of engage on me, just a little bit of safetiness, we will be fine. He was scaling up really comfortably, and they were able to get the job done. So now, anyone's legend at match point versus Weibo. Who here would have expected that? Not me. I didn't expect that. I don't know about you guys. How about you, Fish?
Nope, I did not. I had this as being a 3-0 for Weibo Gaming, and I thought it might be even a convincing one at that. Not the case. It felt like it was going to be from how the first game of this series went up, because that was a complete wash from Weibo Gaming. They did so well in that game 1, but anyone's legend has really found their way through it, especially through this fearless draft. Every draft from game 1, game 2, game 3 has looked really good from anyone's legend. Looks like they're beating Weibo even in that drafting phase, or at least utilizing what they draft a lot better than what Weibo has so far.
We're seeing great creativity on red side too. Not necessarily only, it doesn't have to only be on red side, but I think just holding flex a little, 4-5 a little bit for Flandre has been doing them wonders. Even just like finding creative picks like Jace, tank Jace. I want to put that out there. Tank Jace. And then later in this game, having the Smolder top that he did play earlier on in the tournament, but it does make it a nightmare to draft into this team. He's a bit unlocked. And also, just the team fights that AL has been great. And Hope, for me, has been a standout player.
And you have to think, this has to be another Hope player of the game, right? Has to be.
That's insane!
Did you give it to anyone else?
I'm not giving it to anyone else. But the juxtaposition from like a 37k damage from Hope to 9.5k from Light, where Hong, of course, yes, he's throwing out ultimate. He has a little bit more poke, just out damaging the Caitlyn. Light could not play this game. And I think a lot of that started from laning phase when they were losing the 2v2, or at least finding, bad trades there and had to be forced out of lane. That is your bread and butter. Is trying to find a Lux binding into trap, chipping at turret. They got the lane, so there was no swap there, and they couldn't get that job done. Team fights were hard for them. He just really couldn't find an angle in this game. This was a pretty good start for Weibo when they were able to get that mid lane dive. Sure, they were already behind at that point, but I think they had shown that they can get angles. But I thought anyone's legend, they played out fights, as you can see here with Kael's engage mid that he had off the Neeko. But then also their vision control they had topside to protect Orianna on side lane. All of this was great. I think AL is now primed to take this series, and if you were to look at this, some might want to flip-flop. I'm looking at you, Fish. You said this could be a 3-0. Are you one to flip-flop? I know I already have. To AL winning this.
I think that if it wasn't Fearless Draft, I would still say Weibo got a good chance. I think because it's Fearless, I will flop over and say that, I think AL's got this. Now, I think that their coaching staff, which I believe Tabe is on their coaching staff as well, and it seems like perfect environment for him, right? Fearless Draft, being able to come up with crazy compositions. He pioneered Annie support back in the day. I'm sure he's got some tricks up his sleeve for the last few games of a Fearless Draft. So I think that it's going to be... I think it's changed. It was Weibo's game to lose, but I think I think that now AL have a good opportunity to take this home 3-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think their drafts have been really creative, and you can only make creative drafts really work if the execution is, of course, is on point. And I think that fight that they had around Herald is a perfect example where you just kind of have to play on a knife's edge, so the Ornn is not as effective. I think they played around Ornn's ulti and his knock up around walls really well. Now, Breathe didn't have that great of a game. He's had some weird moments, especially when he was on the red side jungle. He like popped over there and then like missed his ulti, or he got stunned, to be fair. But he was just in a weird spot. But I think more credit should be given to anyone's legend and Flandre to be able to get team fights like this. Now, this is a mistake. I shouldn't be giving him credit when he made a mistake mid lane. But game as a whole, he did really well.
I liked that last team fight we just saw the replay of. I really liked that because it's summed up how Hope and Kael have played this entire game. They're really aggressive, not afraid to move forward, and even when Hope was caught in that sticky situation, Kael was there to bail him out. The positioning was good enough to get out of that spot, so really driving up that risk factor and leveraging the fact that they can be so aggressive, knowing that the rest of the team has their back, they need to get out alive. And even in game number 1, where Weibo Gaming was so dominant, it was still Hope and Kael playing fantastically from the Bard magical journeys to get out of those horrible team fights. Hope flashing forward to take away the player that had the most gold in the entire match. So it has to be him, right? I don't think anyone else can get player of the game.
He's just stacking up MVP counts again. That makes 4 that he's had so far in Demacia Cup. And the last time we saw, I mean, we were working in the LPL. It was Rogue Warriors, you know? Everybody remembered and loved Rogue Warriors. I still have their jersey. This was like the Do and B team and all that, and they were successful. And then when they rebranded and changed over to Anyone's Legend, they were having some tough